Welcome everyone to Exploring the Chicago Manual of Style Online 17th edition. My name is Robert Martel and I'm the instruction librarian here at the Atlantic School of Theology. In this video, we'll be looking at the Chicago Manual of Style, Chapter 14, Footnotes and Bibliography Rules. Chicago Manual of Style is the official style of the Atlantic School of Theology, so faculty will be expecting you to use Chapter 14 of the Chicago Manual of Style, 17th edition. We have online access to this manual, so what you need to do is head to the Atlantic School of Theology Library main page. And if you're not sure of the address, simply Google AST Library. And then over here on the left, you'll see Style and Writing Guides. Let me click away from there. Style and Writing Guides. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this link here. Now, first thing you see right at the top of the page are a couple of bullet points. So Chicago Manual Style, first thing you have is access to the entire manual, and you need to log in for access to the Chicago Manual Style online. You'll also see a call number for the print copy in our library. But at the bottom here, you have a second link to the Citation Quick Guide. The Citation Quick Guide does not require you to log in with your Open Athens credentials. But the Quick Guide is only a refresher guide, just a quick breakdown of how to create citations. But let's explore it. So you're at the Style and Writing Guide page. You click on the Citation Quick Guide. It doesn't require your Open Athens credentials. Let's see what's inside. All right, so you're offered two options here. It wants to know where you want to go in the quick guide. Do you want to go to the notes and bibliography style or to the author date style? So chapter 14, okay, chapter 14 is the notes and bibliography style. And this is the style faculty at the Atlantic School of Theology will be expecting you to use. The author date style is chapter 15. And that's in-text citations and a work cited, whereas 14 are footnotes and a bibliography. We are going to go into notes and bibliography style, which is chapter 14 of the manual. So you click on this, and you can see right here that the Citation Quick Guide is broken down into all its main parts, and you can click each of these if you want to jump to the section you're most interested in. So you need to know how to cite an ebook or a website or a newspaper article. What we are going to do is we're going to scroll through and take a look at some of the examples. So it breaks it down by category. So you're into books. How do you cite a book? Well, it's going to show you how to do footnotes, and you know you're doing footnotes with these numbers here. In your essay, they appear as superscript numbers in the text, and then the footnote form is down in the footer of your paper. So these are full footnote citations. And then you have a shortened form. How to cite a chapter or a part of an edited book. And again, note, shortened form, and a bibliographic form. And actually, I didn't point that one out here. Let me scroll back up. So here you have the footnote form, the shortened form. So this is Zadie Smith book, Swing Time. Then a short footnote. And then the bibliographic notation for the same book. And there's a difference. Compare them. And what the quick guide does is it gives you these three type of examples for each of these categories: journal article, book review, thesis, or dissertation. So it's a good place to go when you need a refresher. What we're going to do is we're going to close this page because I want to take you back to Atlantic School of Theology. And we're going to click on this link here, Chicago Manual Style Online 17th edition. Because we're going to explore more than just the quick guide. And the first thing it asked me to do is to log in with my Open Athens credentials. I've talked about Open Athens. It is simply a doorway. Once you get through the door, you can access the electronic resources. So I'm going to enter my username, password. And it deposits us immediately. And here's a little bit of a tricky thing that I don't really like. And so let me point this out to you. It takes you immediately into the resource, but it doesn't deposit you onto the 17th edition. Look, see, they still include the 16th edition in the resource. So you're actually looking at the chapter breakdown for the 16th edition. And if you're in a course with me at the Atlantic School of Theology, I want you using the 17th edition. So what you need to do is click this link here. Click to go to Chicago Manual of Style 17, or you can even click here. So let me clear some of this up. Right here, get rid of this. So to go to the 17th edition, you need to click here, or you need to click here. So let's go to the 17th edition. And you might recognize this page. This is where it was very similar to this page where we found the quick guide. So there's still another click, and this is a feature of the manual that I don't like. So we're still not into the chapters of the actual 17th edition. But look right here, just look around the web page. Chicago Manual Style 17 contents. This is where you go to get your chapters and your rules. So we're going to click that. And now we are into a page that looks like where we landed. When we first entered our Open Athens credentials, it took us to the 16th edition, and this is what it looked like. This is the 17th edition's version of that same kind of page. These are the chapters of the 17th edition. And if you remember what I said, we use notes and bibliography, and that's chapter 14. Do not use chapter 15. Now, if you get a professor who says, I want in-text citations and a work cited, well, then that's going to be chapter 15. But most likely, 99% of the time, you're working with notes and bibliography, and it's up to you. It's your responsibility to confirm what citation style your professor wants. No matter where you're going to school, whether it's AST or anywhere else, don't assume, don't just use your favorite style. Find out what the professor wants. So we're going to go into chapter 14, notes and bibliography. Okay, people often come to me with a lot of citation questions, and I often tell them that after I've helped them, because I'll never turn down a request for help, I often tell them there's no shortcut to learning how to do this. I still refer to the manual constantly, but there's no trick to doing it. It's all about knowing where to look and maybe a little bit of memorization. So let me show you some of the best places to look. We're going to scroll down, and I'm going to highlight a couple areas that are very important to you. All right, let's take a look at this section. Sources consulted online. And there's 3 right here that I think are very important and you should know about. URLs, Uniform Resource Locators, and DOIs, Digital Object Identifiers. Let's take a look at the URLs. When you're citing a resource that came up from online, whether it was an electronic journal or from a database or a website, you need to provide the link or the internet address, the URL, the Uniform Resource Locator, right here. Now, it talks about how it's not sufficient to provide only the URL. You also have to give the full bibliographic citation ahead of that URL. I encourage you to read the URL section. The other one that I originally circled here was the DOI, the Digital Object Identifier. Often an online journal will have a URL or a DOI or both. Digital Object Identifier is kind of like a web link. And what it is it's unique to that particular journal. And so when you click on it, or when you feed this into a web browser, it'll take you to this particular, to the article that it belongs to. So DOIs are another bit of location data that is essential to add to your citation. And let me take you back, and let's take a look at the permalink. Permalinks. Permalinks are very useful, especially when you find an electronic journal in a database. You want to give a link that's going to work for people. Sometimes a link associated with a book that you find in a catalog or an article or a journal, it doesn't work. It won't work for someone else. It's a temporary link. You need a link that's permanent. So talks about it right here. So URLs. So it says that URLs are usually recorded by copying the version of the URL that appears with the source in a web browser's address bar. So for instance, if we copied this up here, we copied this URL up in the top and we gave it to someone, it wouldn't work for them. We had to go through Open Athens. We had to click quite a few steps to get where we are. There's a more permanent way to record a URL, and often it's that option is offered in the electronic resource. Now, even if you created a permalink for something that required you to log in through Open Athens, doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone unless they have Open Athens credentials. But that's just an aside. So let's go back. So remember, these three here, I encourage you to read about them and learn about them. You'll need to use these in your citations. Let's scroll down. Shortened citations, very important. Let's take a look at these two here. So a shortened citation is something that comes after you've already provided a full citation. So you cite something in your paper, you create a full footnote, it appears at the bottom of your page, and then you cite that same source again. Well, you're permitted to, as it says here, reduce the bulk of documentation of a source that was already been given, either in a previous note or in a bibliography that provides complete bibliographic data. It should be shortened whenever possible. So a shortened footnote is permissible. And what does a shortened footnote look like? Well, let's go back. Basic structure of a short form. And yes, you can scroll through the rules here on the right, but I've been hitting the back button because I want to take you back to that main page that lists all the chapter headings. So here's an example. So as you can see, I'm going to remove this just to clean it up a bit, clean up our page. Okay. So here's an example. So Samuel A. Morley, Poverty and Inequality in Latin America, the Impact of Adjustment and Recovery. So imagine an essay that cites this and then goes on to cite a few other people. And then the student comes back to using Morley in their paper. But instead of rewriting the full form, this is a full form footnote, it is permitted to provide a short form footnote. So here's another Morley footnote, exact same book. And you see what they've done is they've shortened the name to the surname. the title has been shortened in a logical manner, just, poverty and inequality. It would have been silly to say poverty and inequality in Latin or just in. It has to be shortened in a logical way. And then the page number is provided right here. So that's a short form footnote, but it can only follow after you've already provided a full footnote. Let's head back to the full listing of chapters, and let's go down. I'm going to scroll way down to here we go. Okay, here's where we get into it. So how are authors' names, how do we organize them? How are the details arranged in a bibliography or in a footnote? And so this will explore that. Author's name, form of an author's name, initials, one author, two or more authors or editors. Scroll down, then you have titles, italics versus quotes, capitalization. And then we get into books, the elements to include in a book. Okay, what about a book with an editor and a translator? Or what if you want to cite a particular chapter of a book? Or an edition? Or a multi-volume work like commentaries or a series? And then you get into facts of publication. So you see what I'm doing is in a video like this, there's not a lot of strategy I can show you. It's all about getting into the resource and sifting through it. And Chicago Manual of Style has created their own logical progression for how they feel you should encounter the rules. And so there's no shortcut. There's no real strategy I can offer you except you must acquaint yourself with the rules and get practice in locating those rules. So investigate and explore. Place of publication, publisher's name. Now, date. Now here, this is interesting section right here. Electronic books. Ebooks. Ebooks can be trickier because they may not have the kind of pagination that a print book has. So it gives you some tips and some great advice on how to create a full citation for an ebook. Periodicals. So very important section. Journals. Magazines and newspapers. And this section here is very important. Websites, blogs, social media. And then it gets into papers and reports and theses, dissertations, manuscripts, a conference paper, artwork, scriptural references. So I encourage you to explore all the rules that I have mentioned in this video, particularly paying attention to URLs, DOIs, and permalinks, and also shortened citations, shortened footnotes, and author's name, title of a work, and then books, the basics on books. More than one author. Is it an editor, a translator? Is there an edition, a multi-volume work, a series? Where is it published? Who published it? When was it published? Electronic books, periodicals, journals, basically. Journals, very important. And websites, blogs, scriptural references. So there's no real time saver, but You can refer to the quick guide, and let me show you how you can get back to that quick guide from within Chicago Manual Style. So you go to Help and Tools, and right here, Citation Quick Guide. And remember, Chapter 14 is Notes and Bibliography. The quick guide is great because it shows you so many examples, but the rules will show you examples as well. So when you are clicking around in the Chicago Manual Style, the 17 contents, the rules will give you examples. Let me show you quickly. Let's scroll down to, let's go to periodical. So author's name, and look at that. I'm a liar. There's no rule. Let's go a bit further in. Let's click another rule. And right here, come on, examples. Here we go, examples. So these are footnotes because of the number. These are bibliography entries right here. And they tend to correspond. See, there's a bibliography example, and here's the corresponding footnote example. So I hope that this demonstration has been helpful to you, and I wish you the best in exploring the Chicago Manual Style online 17th edition. Thank you.